Hello, everyone. Marla and I are so excited to be here with you today. Marla is the co-founder of Raincatcher, and Raincatcher helps small businesses, business owners rather, buy and sell remarkable companies and inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs in search of the American dream. So if you are someone who is even remotely thinking about selling your business at some point down the line, whether that's a year from now or 10 years from now, you have tuned in to the right video, the right video series. You're listening to the right people and you are in the right place. So that is awesome, which of course we should all be thinking about our exit at some point because it is inevitable. But today specifically, I'm excited to be here with Marla as she helps us learn about the PREscore assessment. So this is really about how we can exit our business with no regrets. And it is a tool that allows us business owners to become personally ready to exit our business with no regrets. So Marla, to get us started, why don't you let us know what is one of those first steps that an owner should take when they're starting to have those thoughts about wanting to exit their business?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is analyzing and assessing why you want to exit your business. I know that's one of the number one things we talk about in Raincatcher after we've talked with a business owner is, well, did they plan or are they just sick and tired of cash flow? And that's kind of our easy way to kind of put everybody in a bucket, behind the scenes, because we've all been there. We have all been there. We wake up that one day and the black clouds hanging over you, and it just seems like no matter what you do, you just feel like you're a failure and nothing's gone right, and you just say, I'm done. I'm not doing this one more day.
But what I'm wondering is, when does that switch happen between what we do earlier on, which is, I'll just go back and get a job? So when does it switch from I'll just go back and get a job to
and we have never said that, right, Megan? Never.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Have those words ever come out of our mouth?
Never. But when does that switch happen? Just kidding. That's a ridiculous thing to ponder, but
well, we're laughing about it because it's happened, I think, to every business owner. But where that switch happens, where you need to be thinking more logically about how you're going to exit your business. I mean, quite frankly, it's from day one, if you can, because when you create this business, you need to have a plan in place of, what's driving the business. Like, what are your objectives? What do you hope to accomplish? And there's going to be different phases of business and different goals, as you go along the way. But knowing from the beginning, okay, I know that I want to have a team of 100 people versus I know that I don't ever want to manage people, that changes your decision making in your business and how you're going to structure it, how you're going to create that business, or at least it should, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think being able to, from day one, incorporating into your business plan, what that looks like 5, 10, 15, 20 years out makes a big difference. Big difference.
Absolutely. Huge difference.
Yeah.
So, okay. So once we've thought about those, initial reasons as to why we actually want to sell our business, and maybe we've gotten past that initial, like, oh, I'm just having a terrible day or a terrible week or a terrible month, then what?
Yeah. Well, so what you need to do is you need to first start with assessing what is that future vision, that we just talked about. What does that look like? Do you envision being able to sell to a competitor? Have you made a decision, probably just when you're done, shut down the company? And there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. I want to give business owners permission to know, yes, you have a valuable asset. And if you put the hard work into building your company the right way, you're going to be able to sell it to someone and for something if you think about it and plan. But if you're one of those people that I don't want to do that, I just want to have fun, that's fine. But you need to have a future vision of what that looks like. And then you need to be able to then determine how do you create the flexibility then to be able to get to that vision, to be able to achieve those goals, and also looking at what does that look like. So let me give you an example. A lot of business owners who come to us will say, okay, I'm ready to sell my business. And maybe they have a profitable business, and maybe they've planned all along that I know that I want to sell to, a competitor, and I've actually got a list of 10 of those people. But as we start talking with them, they're actually too personally involved with their business. They are nowhere near selling that business. They're too attached to it. So, there's other things to consider too, like in addition to the flexibility of having choices, what have you done to be able to, detach not only from your business, but your employees, your customers. As a business owner, that's a big deal, Megan. That's actually something that we see often in the businesses that, we're talking about, maybe under 5 million, is that personal attachment.
I'm really getting a sense, Marla, that it would be a really phenomenal idea for everyone at Raincatcher to build power partnerships with therapists that focus on business owners. Because seriously, there is some goodness that could come from those power partners of yours being able to help that untanglement, because there's really,
Yeah.
you guys aren't therapists. There's a lot of work to be done in that area, but absolutely, I think
I
that's
went
crucial.
through it. Yeah. I went through it where I talk about Kaizen, and I bring this up because I want business owners who are listening to this, the Danes that are listening to this, I want them to know I'm not here on a pedestal saying this is what you should do. I went through the emotions. Like, I've been in the trenches. I've walked in your shoes. I understand. Yep. I talk about Kaizen, and when I sold Kaizen, my fractional CFO company, that was my child. I created that from ground up. And mind you, before I did that, I was in mergers and acquisitions. So I have been through many transactions before I sold my business, and it wasn't a transaction. That was my child.
Yeah, if we could sell our children. No, I'm just kidding. My parents used to tell me when I misbehaved that they would take me to the gypsies. So,
that could open up a whole nother can of worms right there. We could have another show that we can do. But, I equate it to, I can remember sitting in the room with my training partner, and I was struggling with it so much because they had just walked out the door, and I was almost on verge of tears, because they're talking about they're going to be letting go this customer, and I'm not sure that this service works. And gosh, we'll have to really look at the ROI on this employee to see whether or not we're going to keep them on board. And I was like, what? You're not going to let go of my employees. You're not going to fire any of my customers. And where I had to get to a state of, I had to look at it like, okay, this is almost like sending your child off to college. This is a situation where I'm letting someone, take my child that I've built, and it has foundation, and it has the groundwork, and it knows what it needs to do. And so I'm now going to let somebody else carry that legacy and take it somewhere further. But it was very emotional. And so I was not personally detached, Megan. That was not something I did. I did not personally detach myself from the business. And I thought I knew how I wanted to sell it to. I didn't. I did not go through the exercise of, okay, this is the person that needs to take on the business to continue the legacy. I used my analytical side of, well, I know what I'm doing, rather than really putting pen to paper and figuring out what that looks like.
So how does the PREscore assessment help us specifically?
Yes.
When a business owner takes it?
Yes. Okay. So it's a really simple assessment. It's got I think 12 different questions that will ask questions around what we're discussing now. What is the future vision of your company? Have you thought about that? What does that look like? What have you done to create flexibility within your business to be able to transition that business to someone else. Cash flow, detaching personally. What have you talked to your employees about this transition? Will you or won't you? And there's no right or wrong answer. It's getting you thinking about these things. I think one of the biggest things that I took away from taking the PREscore was, will there be a team involved, or are you handling this all on your own? Because a lot of business owners come in thinking, well, my CPA will help me and my attorney will help me. Well, yes, they do. They're one of your trusted advisors, like your broker. You need somebody that's a team of advisors helping you. But think about, I know a lot of business owners who don't even know how to create financials from their QuickBooks files. And so you're probably going to need to bring your bookkeeper into that conversation unless your CPA is able to do that for you. Or I know a lot of business owners who have zero involvement, which is what we try to encourage people to do with customers, and even employee facing issues. So you're going to have to bring in your executive team at some point to be involved in that process. Well, PREscore will help you with looking at how you're going to do that. What are the steps? How are you going to plan that? Do you need to bring in a bonus plan for anybody? How early in the process do you want to bring them into those conversations? So just a few examples of what happens when you take that assessment.
Okay. And then I'm guessing that, is this like the first thing that they do when they come in and work with you, or is this something that they should do before they come in and work with a broker at Raincatcher?
Great question. It depends. Normally, we love to do the value builder assessment, which is those 8 drivers that help the business owner to look at the overall health of their business, look at the 8 drivers that would impact, not only purchase price, but also the freedom of, what type of buyer is going to be interested in your business, and do you have a truly not just sellable business, but valuable business? I feel like the PREscore is equally as important, because sometimes what happens with the value builder is that's a good assessment for somebody to just kind of wrap their head around how prepared their business is to sell. Is it truly a premium business? Versus the PREscore is your personal readiness. How ready are you to take that next step? And it's going to be a different answer for everyone. I've talked to business owners where they weren't sure that they were ready, and then they take the PREscore, and it's like, oh, I'm more personally ready than I realized. Like, we get started. And then the opposite has happened. Oh gosh, I didn't realize I was carrying this baggage with me. I need to work on this.
Which is huge. That's awesome. And you always wish for those kinds of days, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll make sure to link back to the 2 segments we did on the value builder in the comments of this. And so for everyone to kind of know, basically what you're saying is they should come in and meet with a broker, and you'll have them take the value builder and you'll have them take the PREscore at the same time.
Yes.
Well, not the same time, but same time period, basically.
Yes, absolutely. And what it will do is it will help you to start understanding not only where you're at in your business, how prepared you are to take those next steps, but really what it's meant to do is educate. It's meant to educate the business owner around helping them to think through what they want to do. I've had business owners ask me point blank, which I understand, what should I do? And I have to be very careful when they ask me that question, because I come back to, gosh, I don't want to seem like I'm using this answer as a scapegoat, but I kind of am, because you're the one that knows your business best. What do you want to do? Because it really does boil down to that. If after you have all the information in front of you, you're still saying, I don't know, well, then take your time. Now you've got more information. Now you know some things you can work on. Spend another year or 2. Or maybe once you learn about all this, you go, I'm ready. I feel good. Oh my gosh. And Megan, one thing we didn't talk about, what are you doing after you sell your business? That's a
Yes.
conversation many business owners don't think about, or they think they know. And then when you actually go through, like, okay, let's talk about that. What does that really look like? It's like, oh my gosh, you're right. I can't golf every day. That sounded good, but what do I do year two? I'm not going to become a PGA professional, you know? So
Totally.
yeah,
It's
helping
very
them to
similar
think,
to, yeah, it's similar to someone who's thinking about retiring, right? Like, what do
well,
I
yeah,
do next? And if we
what do
don't
I
spend the
do
time,
next?
so what happens when someone doesn't think about that?
I feel like that's where the statistics come in, that it's really unfortunate. I've quoted this before. There's been several surveys, not just one group, several surveys done that show that 75% of business owners that exit their business regret the sale of their business.
Hmm.
It's only 5% has to do with purchase price, meaning that they didn't get what they had hoped for. So that means 70% of the business owners regretted selling their business for other factors. Most common is that personal detachment. I 100% regretted selling Kaizen because I hadn't gone through the personal detachment of letting go of that business. I am a very organized, disciplined person. I've always had a business plan. I've always had a budget. I've always practiced what I'm teaching everybody here. But I had not learned what I'm talking about with Value Builder yet. That had not been brought into my world. I didn't teach Value Builder with Kaizen. It's something I learned after I went through it. So what I learned is I didn't go through the exercise of, am I really ready to detach myself from my customers and my employees, my identity of being, the CEO, the founder of Kaizen, and I wasn't. And so I would have fell into that 70% business owners regretting selling their business.
Hmm. Dang.
Yeah, it
Well,
happens.
yeah, it does. It does. And this is why we work with a broker when we're looking to sell our business, as opposed to just trying to do it ourselves, because we don't know about all of these factors. We
Yeah.
don't know about everything that is involved in the pre, the during, and the after. And we're best set up to work with the pros who can help be our Sherpas during this process and help us see, 100 miles ahead where we can't see. I
And
mean,
that's exactly it, what you just said. What you just said, Megan, it's not a matter of we have all the answers, or we're the know-it-all, or we're the smartest, guy or gal in the room. That's not it. We've done this hundreds of times. And so we understand, what we've seen, the good, we've seen the bad. I've got tons of stories that are outside of that 70%, where they never, they couldn't have imagined a better scenario than selling their business, and they're happier than ever. And that didn't just have to do with starting a new endeavor. That didn't just have to do with traveling. That didn't have to do with just because now they get more time with their family. It's mixed, and there's no way to weigh which one was the better scenario. But what they did do is what we're talking about. They took the time to go through the exercise of, what does that future vision look like? How do I create the flexibility to get there? How do I create the detachment so I'm ready for it? And what am I going to do after? What does that look like? And so they had choices, they had options, and they knew what that world looked like. So they were happy.
right. If we make informed decisions, it's a lot better, and we can be a lot happier about what the heck it is we're doing.
That's right. That's why we went in to create our own businesses to begin with. For most of us, we
Yep.
wanted control over our destiny. We wanted control over how we earn money. We didn't want someone telling us what we have to do. So why would you do that to your business when you exit?
No, wouldn't make any dang sense. That's for sure. Well, as we close up today, I just want to say we are super thrilled that Raincatcher is our sponsor, our Dame of Influence annual sponsor. And where should ladies go? Like, what's the first step?
Yeah, great question. So we're going to post something on the Danes, right? We're going to post a link so you can go there. There'll be a link that you can click on. And, you know, I don't think I say this often enough, so I'm going to say it today because I feel it's very important. The Danes, listen, the reason why I'm here, of course, it is to educate you so you get familiar with who Raincatcher is and who I am and who my team is. But I also want to share with you, listen, our purpose, our mission at Raincatcher is bigger than that. We want to educate the small business community and educate small business owners on what they need to do in order to create not just a sellable business, but a valuable business, a premium business, okay? So I don't want you to be afraid clicking on this link that we're going to provide to you because you're like, oh, I would feel horrible. I'm not even thinking about selling. We want to talk to you now. I would much rather start having these conversations with business owners at the very beginning of their business, 5 years in, you know, even if you've got another 10 years left, because there's things that I can help you do versus if you're thinking of selling tomorrow, then my choices are limited. So please take advantage of what we're offering to you because it's there for a reason, because we care. So you can go to the Danes, click on their link there. You can also go to raincatcher.com. We have a free valuation button that you can click on. It will allow you to take the 13-minute assessment. And then part of that nurturing is the PREscore. So you'll kind of get everything. And our brokers would love to speak with you. Don't worry about taking somebody's time. This is why we're here. We want to do this.
It's very similar, ladies, to when you're thinking about selling your house. Like if you decide that tomorrow you're going to put your house on the market, you've done no preparation, your house is a mess, you have nothing staged, and you're just like, you have nothing in order, the chances of you being able to sell that home are pretty slim, at least at a good price, right? It's the same thing, if not 10 times worse for your business. If you go in and you say, tomorrow I'm going to sell my business, unless by some miracle you have every single duck in every single row, which would be a serious miracle from God, chances are you're not ready to sell your business tomorrow. There's things that you need to put in place so that your value can be higher. There's things like we've talked about today about your own personal detachment. There are many different factors. So hire the brokers, just like you hire a realtor to sell your house. Same thing.
Well, just, you know, use us to help you to, you know, become more informed. That's exactly it. That's why we're here, and that's why we want to serve. That's our purpose in Raincatcher. So
absolutely. Well, thank you, Marla, for this and every talk that we've had. And yes, ladies, click the link below so you can take the free assessment that's on the Raincatcher page. And we'll be back here next month for another segment. Thank you all.
Megan.
Thanks, Marla.